Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, my brothers and sisters on YouTube land in the boxing community. Shout out to the LDBC. This is Stormy B Man coming to you live Sunday morning, June 2nd, 2019. This is something I don't normally do, so I don't want people to think, oh, Stormy is just trying to fill the airwaves. No, that's not what it is. This is once again a continuation of my stream from last night where I had a chance to come on and I said that I was not going to talk much about the event scheduled for Madison Square Garden last night unless there was an upset. And being as I'm a man of my word, because there was an upset, Stormy B Man still got plenty to say. So I'm glad to see everyone tuning in with me this morning. Shout out to everybody that's out there in the chat. I just want to say the title of this stream is Anatomy of a Chumpion, which we have finally seen on the world stage. That's exactly what that was last night. An anatomy of a champion. So with no further delay, I will go right into the matters. But first, I'd like to introduce my right-hand man who has decided to join me in this little stream this morning. That's Hyphy. What's going on, brother Hyphy? How you doing this morning?
All right, man. I'm just shit over here, enjoying the weather, but definitely just waking up and still feeling good. Obviously, everybody knows why. It is very refreshing. I think yesterday, last night made everybody's day. Um, we just gonna laugh, man. Like you said, we really don't do these weekend streams or fill up the airways because it ain't enough to talk about in boxing. But as I stated so many times last night, y'all gotta understand this has been going on for 2 years, and we've been getting hit hard by these across the pond guys and supporters of this dude. So we got a lot to release and just dish out on these dudes. So here it come all week. We gonna be at it all week.
Exactly, man. This is the type of thing where, it's not even a thing like I told you so, because people have made a conscious decision to side with and back a fraud, huh? And the thing about that is, this is the society we're living in now. Everybody like fake stuff, fake boobs, fake hair, fake nails, huh? Fake slongs, huh? Everything fake, and people love it. They eat it up, and these manufacturers can't produce enough fake stuff for these people. But when you get in the sport of boxing, there's nothing about being punched in the face that's fake, man. Huh? That shit hurts. Try it sometime. And for all these people out here that think that it ain't real, just give it a shot. Go to your local gym, lace up a pair, and say, hey, I want to go a couple of rounds with somebody and see what happened to your ass. Huh? You'd be lucky if you can make it a minute and a half with no training, no cardio, nothing. Just get in there, get inside those ropes and see. It's a big difference from sitting on your sofa in front of the TV with your laptop, huh? Backing people who have been propped up in front of you to take your dollars, huh? Take your money and make somebody else wealthy. Yeah, that's what it's about. The anatomy of a paper champion. That's what we kicking about today.
Man, like Tim said in the chat, all week. This gonna be all week. Plus, it ain't no fights coming up next week, I believe. Oh yeah, we at this all week. It might be 2 weeks.
Well, the thing about it, Hyphy, is this. We have seen so much in the sport since Floyd Mayweather Jr.'s career has wound down that it's actually put a negative spin on the sport with how he handled himself, how he carried himself, because the face of boxing was so-called, the torch was passed from him, from De La Hoya to him when he defeated Oscar De La Hoya. And as he grew into that mantle, he played the enemy, he played the villain, he played the person that you love to hate because he understood what that meant as far as generating revenue. But also behind that, because of his success in the ring and his undefeated record, it gave a false sense of understanding to a lot of the other fighters in the sport that that's what would equate to success. That if I keep my O, if I keep myself, undefeated, and I can go and I can beat these guys in easy fights or whatever, I can command a presence like this man. But the difference being is that Floyd Mayweather, he was acquiring wealth, but he trained like a poor man, huh? And he never let that down, and he always managed to manipulate circumstances in his favor because he had the economic leverage to do so. That's smart, and he learned that from someone. But at the end of the day, please don't sleep on the fact that the man was highly skilled. Okay, an Olympian, okay, and a professional who, in his prime at the lower weights, no one wanted a part of him, including the likes of Shane Mosley and Cotto and those guys. When they were down there at those lower weights, they wanted no parts of Floyd Mayweather Jr. They knew what he was. He was the real deal. But our people across the pond over in the UK, they want to be a part of this so badly that they are willing to build these false idols, I'll call them, and prop them up in front of their own, okay, and sell them as the goods. But every time through history, it is proven that they have come across the pond. When they come across the pond, that image, that idolatry, all of that claymation formation gets broken, gets shattered, just like their dreams, huh? Because it's fake. We saw evidence of it last night in undercard matches, huh? But this is what I have. This is why I'm out here to talk about this morning, because people need to hear it. And those people over in the UK, if they not on suicide watch and flying flags at half mast and in bars and everything, going everywhere but to the dentist, you know what I'm saying? But if they're over there, eat tons of crow, you silly people, because y'all tried to push this narrative that you had something good. If you had invested, you could have seen that you did have something good, but it wasn't what you thought it was, huh? But that's okay, because we're going to be all right over here. We got the real heavyweight champion of the world right here, huh? The realist, huh? Getting ready to make a 10th title defense. This is a man amongst boys. And with that mindset that these fighters have of today, of ducking opposition and not trying to test themselves against the best, or to even try to put themselves through trials so they can see exactly how good they are, it's going to be a feast for people like our champion and some of the champions in the lower weight divisions who have the same mindset as our champion in the heavyweight division. Because as the heavyweight division goes, that's how the rest of boxing goes. And guess what's happening in the heavyweight division? People are getting knocked the hell out, huh? Just like that paper champion last night. got knocked the hell out. Paper shredded everywhere. Someone said in the stream last night the ring was full of sugar. Yeah, powdered sugar. Everybody had dust on them from the sugar with him flopping around 4 or 5 times. I think he was down like 8 times, but they cut the film or something when we was watching on the streams and the TV audiences. We didn't see all the times he hit the canvas. I think he just hit the canvas again, Hyphy. What you think?
Oh man, he on wobbly legs. He looking at the referee funny right now, man. Hey, I want to say what's up to we got some people in the chat. Y'all know what I mean? I see Blood up in there, brother. And I see him the
Yeah, go ahead and
dream.
shout everybody out. Start with the beginning, Hyphy. Let's shout
Oh yeah,
everybody out
yeah.
up there.
The dude I like this brother Lowland Prophets. I see that brother up in the building. What's up to the homie KO? It's a lot of brothers up in there. Clifton, he was with us last time. We was talking about the kung fu. Sheldon Holmes, you got some Bonton. He up in there. Frank the French. Jeffro Bodine, that's how you pronounce it. D-Bid03. What's up to all the brothers that came through? We just about to roast these dudes and actually break down some X's and O's as well. So we about to have fun on this one.
Hey, Blood,
So
if you're still out there, Blood, would you like to get on here with us? I know you was on with Fanon, and I got up late this morning, and I couldn't ask to get on early with you guys. But if you like to get on here with us, Blood, you're more than welcome, brother. Because I know you got some stuff to say too, man. And my platform is always open to you, brothers. If you want to get on.
yeah, I said Blood Hack. He was saying the stuff that I wanted to hear. Especially at the end of that stream. I think that's what made you try to ask for a link because he was talking that stuff I like to hear. And Blood,
Exactly.
he did a good live stream yesterday afternoon. I caught, so he was talking the stuff I like to hear, and that's how we gonna talk it. We gonna keep it trill.
Yeah. So yeah, just let us know, Blood, if you want to get on with us, brother. You're more than welcome, man. You're welcome anytime. Um,
Yeah, Willie
We
Beecham
got
and GG in there.
Brown on boxing. We got Brown on boxing out there. Sheldon Holmes, Frank the French. He says last night was bad for UK boxing. Only person who was worthy was Botsy, the real stank the place out. Nassim the Dream said, "This is boxing, not a weightlifting contest. Welcome to America, where champions are born." You better believe it, man. You better believe it. Here we got real fighters over here. We have people fighting the real experience. You know what I mean? So it's like there's the only thing fake over here, again, like I said, is for those people who are uncertain of themselves and the people who are the second citizens and the also rans, those who don't want to apply themselves and stuff like that. And we're not talking about people who are in unfortunate situations and need help coming up. We're not talking about that. But there's a certain class of individual who always want the easy route to everything. You know, they want a job, but they don't want to work. They want to pay, but they don't want to get their fingers dirty, or whatever. So it's like there's a certain class for individuals like that. And when you get somebody who has a hype train going and they can prop someone up, put them out there and say, hey, these are the goods right here. Just come along with us and we'll take you to the moon. Huh? Stardust. Huh? And while they asking you to do that, they asking you to empty your pockets and everything. Huh? And you look around and everything gone, and so are they. And if they ain't gone, they're gonna be gone. Because when somebody snatch the curtains off their ass, that's gonna be it. And you're gonna say, oh, this was fake, man. I want my money back. And here we go. Huh? How many of them want their money back from last night? Now, the Madison Square Garden audience that paid that special discount for the tickets and everything, boy, they got a treat, man. They got a real treat. 2-for-1 deals and half price car sale, fire sale, huh? For that last night, that was excellent, man. The
My
fans won two
tickets,
times over.
tickets at
What'd you say, Hyphy? You broke up a little bit, brother. You there, Hype? I think Hype is having a little bit of trouble there. But I want to go back to the chat for a minute there. Sheldon Holmes says, all this confirms that them people really don't know shit about boxing. You better believe it. Lowland Prophet says, I told you UK needs their own boxing league. There's levels to this shit. Absolutely. That left hook wasn't even that hard, Sheldon Holmes said. I won't say that, Sheldon. You know, it doesn't take much from a man that's 200 plus pounds to hit you upside your head and make you do the stanky leg. But if you're a guy that can't take shots, and you have to also understand that big men like this guy that was the UK champion, you know, he's not used to people hitting him in the head and face real solidly because he's got a height, weight, and reach advantage over most of the people he's in there with. So if somebody could pack a little semblance of a shot and nail him good, yeah, he's gonna do some funny things with his legs. Willie Beecham says, wow. Brown on Boxing says, Wilder money is straight. You better believe it. GG says, salute fam. Nasheem the Dream says, salute to the brother Hyphy, always putting in that work. GG says, blood boxing salute. Lowland Prophet says, every fighter will be aiming for the top of AJ's head after this. Dave Allen stands a chance, and he's laughing. Mark Pinkerton said, Stormy, what's good, man? I'm all good, Mark. How you doing, brother? Clifton Bronson says, I'm ordering my breakfast right now. Salute to everyone else, people. That's what's up, man. Enjoy your breakfast. And thanks for rocking with me this morning. Frank the French says, good chat, boys. History tells you, you got to be extra special to come from the UK and to take on the best of the US. Only people to do it is Lennox Lewis and Joe Calzaghe when he beat Roy Jones and B-Hop. Yeah, but Frank the French, Joe Calzaghe has 2 asterisks by those victories because he fought both of those fighters well out of their primes, and they were not even a mere shell of themselves when they faced Calzaghe. When the heat was on, Calzaghe stayed at home, and he stayed at home with purpose and fervor. He did not want any of that smoke from anything that the U.S. fighters had to offer when they were in their primes. Don't forget that, man. Don't forget that. That's like celebrating Rocky Marciano knocking out Joe Louis, okay? And Joe Louis was 2,000 years old, huh? When Marciano knocked him out. So that's not the same thing, brother. Please don't get that twisted. Blood Boxing says, GG salute. Nassim the Dream says, that's a good point. Stormy B, man, you're dead on. People want it all, but don't want to put in the work. There you go, huh? AJ didn't even want to be in the position that the Hearn clan put him in. They picked him. They selected him. And they put him there. And you could see that he was totally uncomfortable with it, but he didn't know what to do or say. He was not his own man. He couldn't stand up for himself. And they gave him things, okay? Whether it was boys, girls, whether it was material possessions or whatever, whether it was a little change, because you could believe they didn't pay him as much as what you might have heard he may be getting per purse. But they were building their own family wealth and company wealth on that young man. That's why they didn't want to put him in tough. That's why they didn't want to give him the actual battles that could be 50-50 or whatever, not in his favor. Okay? They were building him, they were building an image, they were building a product and a commodity that they can get a return investment on. But what happened is the well started drying up extremely fast over in the UK, and he had no recourse but to come to the US. And they were trying their damnedest to not face someone who could upset their cart. And Big Baby Miller, he complied. He even messed up and took himself out of the running. And then they had to sort out and try to find some kind of replacement. But instead of stepping up to the challenge of someone deserving, they tried to pick someone that they thought might not necessarily be a threat. But the man that they picked is a professional U.S. fighter, a professional, huh? And he had a corner of professional people behind him. They worked with other world champions, those men that was in his corner. So they were real deal guys. He was a live body. Total disrespect from the UK people in that promotion and how they approached this. That's why their prototype was on his ass 4 times last night. Huh? That's a lesson for everybody. Get the hell out of here with that bullshit. Milli Vanilli. Get out of here.
Yo, Storm.
Yes, sir.
All right, so I came back home last night and I watched it a second time, for some extra laughs. But I was it was going through my head because when I seen that fight last night, when he stepped in the ring, the dude AGCJ was so much bigger than Ruiz, and it kind of reminded me of Spence versus Garcia, which I seen live in person. So to last night, that showed the difference between a fighter who is just built to look like he's a great fighter and a fighter that actually is good. Because Earl had such a size advantage over Mikey, but you seen how he handled him. This dude AGCJ go out there and he was struggling his ass off with that dude. It showed the difference in skills. That's why I be getting mad when people be trying to call, oh, this guy is good. This guy, no, he just beating the opponents that's put in front of him. That don't mean that he's good.
Listen, man, you ever been in high school and there was always, brothers play football, basketball, whatever. There's always this big dude, right? And he should either be on the football team or the basketball team. And you tell him, you say, hey, Joe, come on out here, man, and try out for the team. We could use somebody like you. And you toss the guy the ball. He don't know how to dribble. He don't know how to run with it. He don't know how to shoot. He don't, it's like, you like, this is impossible. If I had that guy's size, if I had that guy's, physicality or whatever, I would be a beast. You're looking at it and it's like, wow, that's what you saw. A big old lurch, huh? They strapped him up in some boxing gloves and shoes and put some trunks on him and everything. And they say, wow, look at him. Don't he look great? Huh? Yeah, when he was lifting weights, he looked great. When he was jumping rope, he looked great. But as soon as somebody hit him, you were like, oh no, stop it. Huh? That's what it ended up being. I'm telling you, man, that ain't what happens over here. And when you do have people who try that over here, that shit crashes really fast. Huh? Remember Michael Grant? Huh? Same thing.
Oh man, he had the
Michael
look of
Grant,
Michael Grant.
yeah. Michael Grant looked like this dude. Big, muscular, 6'8". You put some boxing gloves on him and everything, and he wasn't the most handsome guy. So you look at him and say, oh, he looked like a fighter. Huh? Soon as people start tagging that guy, he was being knocked out every other week. Could you imagine if he
What
had been over
round
there in the UK?
did you know it?
Go ahead, Hype.
No, what round did you know it was over in? Or at what moment of the fight did you know that it was over for him?
I knew it was over for AJ when he knocked Ruiz Jr. down and Ruiz Jr. got up and knocked him down. It was over right then because guess what? The big badass Chumpion faced a trial right at that moment that everybody ain't gonna just concede to you because you're a big, strong, muscular guy. The funny thing about Ruiz Jr., and I was telling this to Kurt Sugar last night, was that he never changed his demeanor in the fight, even after he got dropped. He had this like if you remember the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, when the dwarfs was like whistling and going about their work, that's kind of like Andy Ruiz. He was going about his work. He didn't care that he got dropped. He got right back up, got right back into the fray, and he dropped AJ. And AJ had a look on his face like, oh, what the fuck? Huh? But exactly that's what happens in boxing. It ain't over yet. Huh? I didn't hear no bell, as Mickey said in Rocky. Huh? I didn't hear no bell. He got up and rocked AJ's bell. That's when I felt that the fight was over. Because the guy rose to the occasion, and AJ was like, well, shit, if I knock the guy down and he ain't gonna quit and the ref ain't gonna stop it, what do I do now? And then if you look at the entire match, he's backing AJ up. He was backing him up. It was like AJ gave up all the real estate. He never put anything out there on the guy to say, if you come in here, you're going to get harmed. Huh? He didn't do anything like that. He didn't push the guy off of him. He didn't go at him. None of that. He just totally relented. He gave in. He became submissive.
Hey, Ruiz is the perfect definition of a poker face. His face was the same when he got knocked down, from the same when he was at the press conferences and everything. It finally changed when he actually won the fight. You know, he started celebrating. But yeah, that dude definitely has the poker face. When I went back and watched the fight last night, I noticed after the first AJUCJ knockdown, if you look at how he looked at the ref, he looked at the ref like, dude, you wasn't supposed to let that happen. Like, you know, this is supposed to be staged or something. And that's when I seen, man, you know, he was in trouble then. Right then, he knew he was in trouble.
Yeah, man, that was awesome. And Blood Boxing said that if we're still on, and when he get home in 30 minutes, he'll come on with us. We'll probably still be on Blood because I'm gonna do at least an hour, if not a little over. So this is let me go to the chat real quick and finish up with some of these comments. Brown on Boxing says AJ gave in to the pressure of being a world champion. Exposed. Yes, sir. Sheldon Holmes says AJ's punch resistant ain't shit. Bunton South D-Town says, this explains why AJ and his team did everything in the world to duck Deontay Wilder. If you think about it, AJ has been hurt in his last 5 fights, now 6. They knew Deontay Power was going to destroy him. Let me stop right there for Bonton South D-Town's comment. Yes, respect, Bonton, about your comment there. But see, what we don't know totally as an American audience in the sport is that they had revelations about AJ in the gym over there, stuff that we weren't even privy to. So quite naturally, it wasn't even about ducking Wilder per se. Wilder was just that other name that was big that would be a foe for him. But they were trying to market this guy as some type of a commodity and a must-see fighter in the heavyweight division and everything. But he was getting touched up by sparring partners over there. So you can't, and see, we weren't privy to that information unless someone leaked it over here to us or whatever. But you know, in the boxing community, the ears are large, so it'll eventually get around. They said that Daniel Dubois knocked him out like 3 or 4 years ago. And Dubois is just, I think, 10-0 right now. He's only had 10 pro fights. So if that was like 3 or 4 years ago, Dubois was like an amateur. And he freaking knocked AJ out. So if they knew that in the gym back then, they know Wilder was gonna knock him out. So it was like the only thing they could do is make like they wanted to make a fight with him, you know, put all these loopholes and potholes out there to prevent things and lane blockages and everything to keep it from happening. But Wilder was never on their agenda. Even when they so-called were negotiating for the fight, he was not really who they wanted. That's why they went after Charles Martin so fast and with so much fervor, because it was an opportunity to get a belt from a guy who was not a good fighter. Okay? Ruiz should have got, I mean, not Ruiz, Kawanaki should have got the victory over Charles Martin. Charles Martin is probably just like AJ, but the difference was Charles Martin didn't believe in himself either. I equate those guys the same, but AJ's people felt like he had enough to beat him, and that was an opportunity to grab a title and become a world champion very early. And so when they did that, and they felt like they could take their prospect with a title and go on a run, fighting stiffs and this and that or whatever. But the politics of boxing and the media press pushed for Wilder because Wilder was right there. At first, AJ wasn't even talking about Wilder. Then after the Klitschko fight, he got lucky because Klitschko should have knocked him out. Then he said, "Oh, who you guys want to see me fight?" And he was like, "Yeah, well, you know, we could do that." He called Wilder out, and Wilder was like, "I was gonna let the young guy mature." He was like, "But since he called my name out, don't wait. Let's make the date." They were both fighting on Showtime Championship Boxing back then. But let's get back to Bonton's comment. They knew what they had in the gym. Okay, it's like, you ever seen a nice old car that a grease monkey been working on? He done pulled the engine out of it and everything. The body is pristine. It's got shiny paint job, rally tires and rims, and it looks great, ready for the summer. But ain't nothing under the hood. They done pulled the engine out the car. That was AJ, man. And then they put a little four-cylinder in there. They tried to, add some what they call it, that NOS to it, but it's still a four-cylinder. It wasn't no eight cylinder 455, huh? It was a four-cylinder engine. And they sold that to the public, man. The
Yo,
people who
Stormy.
should be the most angry, I'm sorry, Hyphy, I'll let you say something in a second. The people who should be most angry is the people over there in the freaking UK. You know, if you was eating cheeseburgers all this time and you found out it wasn't real beef, huh? It was something else, whatever what it is, soy, whatever. You'd be freaking mad. You'd be like, man, I wanted damn beef. I didn't want no soy, huh? You'd be mad. Why ain't they mad? Because they suckers. That's why they ain't mad. Go ahead, Ike.
Well, this is something that applies to all fighters. Everybody could look good. All these prospects, even champions that's out here, everybody could look good when they just beating up the right type of opponents. When a guy is tested, that's when you find out if he's really just trains for boxing. Juicy J has always reminded me of Layla Ali. She wasn't like oh so good, but she just had people around her training her. He reminded me of a dude that just trains for.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. I'm gonna read a couple more of these
For
chats.
boxing.
You kind of faded out there, Hyphy. I'm sorry. I didn't hear
My
your
bad.
last comment.
And I was saying, it's a lot of champions out here right now that are just like him. So I'm not only picking on him. Guys, they don't really know how to fight. They just know how to train for boxing, and they're dedicated to the training. They don't really know how to fight.
Yeah. And see, that's another thing. I said it earlier in my comment when I said that working You know, you building a guy up, you hyping things, huh? Uh, one of the misconceptions about Tommy the Duke Morrison was that Tommy was a hype job. Now, I'll stop short of saying that he was a hype job, and I'll say that Tommy, he had ability, and he faced guys like Ray Mercer and everything in the amateurs and everything, and he got trainers. They were trying to use the custom model system of fighting for him, and that it worked for a certain level, but then he required a little extra, and they never got that to him. But Tommy Morrison could fight, and he had heart. He didn't take a good shot, but he could fight. That's the difference, you see. And he's a U.S. fighter. Tommy was in some great fights over there. If Tommy had come up over there, as soon as he came over here, he would got annihilated, and that would have been the end of him, because they don't go to the measures through the system of learning the sport, the skill for a fighter, like we do over here. Lennox Lewis was smart enough to come over here and get one of our best trainers to help him with his career. And he became, a modern day legend with what he was able to accomplish in the ring. But he would not have been able to achieve that had he stuck with those original trainers that he had, because he needed someone that could take him to the next level. And he was able to achieve that. This kid is psychologically deficient, and I don't think that he's ever going to be able to come back. I
I
don't
don't
think.
think.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I kind of feel it's not that he will be dying, desperately wanting a rematch. I think it more so be, Hearn and them pushing for that rematch. I just don't see he just don't have enough heart in him to win those tough fights, and he's going to be putting those tough fights against a few heavyweights. He just don't have it, so I don't think that he really wants the rematch. Same thing, like I said about Jared Hurd. I don't feel he really wants the rematch. It'd be the people behind him pushing for it, and then behind the scenes they'll find out, hey, this dude really don't got the heart, and he'll just have to break down and tell him, he don't want that stuff. I think the only reason he would want the rematch is to get the titles back, so he could allegedly continue to make stuff. But I don't think he really wants to beat the dude just to get revenge.
Well, see, that's the other thing, Hyphy. When you have fighters who, like, I think AJ won that IBF belt from Charles Martin when he was what, 17-0 or 18-0, something like that. I forgive me if I got the number of fights incorrect, but I don't think he had 20 fights yet when he won that IBF belt. Instead of going after the IBF title, he should have been fighting a step-up fight. Okay, if you're talking about correct managing of a fighter, a step-up fight would be someone who could give him rounds, because he was knocking out all those other guys. So they were all basically the same level. But a step up fight would have put him in a position where he went rounds. And now you get to see how he begins to behave when fatigue sets in. You can make assessments as a coach, and you know what to go back to work on in the gym. They didn't do that. Okay. And then you bring in professional sparring partners. You bring in guys from the US. You bring in people that he can work with and learn some things in the gym. It don't mean anything if he beating up everybody over there, right? But if you got guys coming in beating up him, then I would say change the damn coaching staff. because he's not learning enough to take care of himself, even in the gym. So what the hell do you think is going to happen to him when he get in live action? Huh? He's going to get his ass whooped. So instead of being greedy, going after that title, which would have been there, the only thing that might have happened was Deontay Wilder would have collected a title or two before he did of those other belts. But if there was still like one out there for him to get in another couple of years or whatever, so be it. Or if he ended up having to challenge Deontay one day for the unified or undisputed, so be it. But at least along the way, he would have had a transition of having a few fights under his belt, a few rough and tumble situations where he was able to persevere and graduate to another level. He never graduated to another level. He just became a guy who had a bunch of belts. And as soon as he faced some stiff opposition, he was going to be in trouble. And they can't see that? Those people over there? We can see it all day long. We see it happen over here all the time. Remember Chocolatito? Huh? He was bad as hell, wasn't he? But what happened as soon as they put him in there with somebody that could fight? Oh, Chocolatito is rocked. Oh, he's down. Oh, he's cut. Oh, he's this and that. But they had the guy as a pound for pound. Get the hell out of here, man. That's not really true. You can't sell us that, HBO. The boxing fans know the difference, man. I want to take a moment and say good morning. We have Kurt Sugar has joined us. What's up, Kurt? How you doing, brother?
Hey man, what's going on? I'm doing good, man. What's up, Hyphy? I'm doing good, man. I mean, being a boxing enthusiast, last night was one of the biggest upsets in the sports history, man, and the heavyweight history. 20-1 underdog. This ranks up there with Braddock versus Bear, and of course, Tyson and Douglas, which 42-1. Ali and Foreman and Ali and Liston, and it's bittersweet because I wanted Wilder to get that fight. I wanted Wilder the first one to do it. You can't let fights marinate. The fight was a natural. We all know that Wilder was going to plaster Joshua. See, what you saying is true, and I'm gonna add on to this. See, the UK, they wanted a good fighter, but they also wanted a star. They really, truly wanted a star. They wanted a guy who was the face of boxing because they haven't had one in a very long time, going back to centuries, man. And they wanted one. And they put Joshua was chosen as the chosen one when he came out the Olympics. They propped him up. He was going to be the star of the movie. And very rarely the star of the movie dies. And that's what happened yesterday. And UK boxing died right along with it. It's on life support because it was a crippling blow. It's like when Hopkins beat Trinidad. A lot of fans. I lived around them, Puerto Rican fans. They was like deeply hurt. Hopkins became a hated man in Puerto Rico. And the same thing last night. The UK fans, they was in such a shock. And Eddie Hearn too. Don't let him bother. Don't let him fool you. He was in shock. He don't know what to do because the plan was to beat Ruiz and continue to put down Wilder. I did a live stream. I was on my live stream early with World Breaker. World Breaker said that, and I can see this happening too, to give Ortiz step aside money and let Ruiz and Wilder fight for unified undisputed, to become undisputed champion. My guess is that Hearn's going to throw the bag at Ruiz and they're going to fight in England. I could be wrong because I could see it going both ways. Boxing politics is a funny thing, but Ruiz is going to get paid. He deserves it. He ain't going to be around that long, but he don't have to be. His job is done. He will always be remembered as the 2019 Buster Douglas, and if he fights Joshua again, gets knocked out, so what? If he fights Wilder, he's expected to get stretched out like a Persian rug. You know, but anybody who gets in the ring with Joshua has a chance to win because he falls apart. He falls apart, like one of those airplanes that's been crashing over there. I forgot what country, but that's who Joshua is. That's who he is. You know, he's chinny and he has no legs. You know, you could talk about his muscles and body all you want, but that right hand to the body took all the fight out of him. You know, and it'd be very interesting to see how Rui's next fight is going to play out. Will it be Joshua rematch or will it be Wilder? So, I'm sad on one hand that we didn't get the Wilder and Joshua fight. That's what happens when fights marinate too long. You lose. That's boxing. But it throws a lot of interest in the heavyweight division.
Yes, sir. I want to take a moment to go back to the chat and follow up with some of the comments because I want to keep the people with us. And by the way, everyone that's rocking with us, thanks for tuning in to the channel. Please smash the like button while you're listening to this content. We got Kurt Sugar on here with us this morning. Willie Beecham says, hopefully this makes AJ better. I want to see him get a rematch. Sheldon Holmes says, even Roy dropped Calzaghe. Xavier the boxing nerd. What's up, Xavier? He says Hopkins arguably beat Calzaghe. He had just beaten Tarver and went on to have another light heavy reign. I give credit for that win, but I agree when it comes to Roy Jones Jr. Kurt, what we were talking about that earlier, someone in the chat had made a mention that, well, Calzaghe came over here and beat B-Hop and Roy Jones Jr. But I countered that with saying that those fighters were way past the primes and threats of what they have been known to be. And Calzaghe did everything within his power to stay over there while they were hot like that. So that's what those comments are regarding. Clifton Bronson says, hey, yo, Eddie Hearn sold boxing history for the low. Nassim the Dream says, Lennox Lewis is from Canada. I knew something was different about his heart. Gigi says, Xavier Boxing Nerd, salute. Xavier says, salute to Gigi. Let's see. Frank the French says, as Stormy B, man, you got a point, brother. I'm reaching, I suppose, on the Calzaghe thing. But hey, I got to take the B's we have over your boys because we don't got many. Just Lennox to hang on to for now. No, Frank the French, this is what you do, man. See, that's the problem right there. And I'm not saying you have a problem, Frank the French, but I want to explain something. Boxing is a sport where you have people from all over the world participating in this sport. And if he's not from your country, but he's damn good, support the guy. If it's a guy that's not from your country and he's not that good, support the guy. But the thing is, don't look at it as you rob yourself from being able to enjoy the better parts of the sport when you attach yourself to nationality or national pride, huh? Because this is not like life and death war. We're not going your country against our country. These are competitive sportsmen, in a dangerous sport. So if somebody is good at what they do, you have to take your hat off to them. That's called respect. When Lennox Lewis was coming over here, beating some of our second tier heavyweights and everything, there were people that didn't like him just because he had fought for Canada in the Olympics and he came out of the UK and all of that. They didn't want to get on board with the guy, but the guy was talented. He could fight. He became the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. And now that he's retired, there's people saying, oh, Lennox is an all-time great. But those are the same people that was hating on Lennox because he wasn't from the U.S. But Lennox was kicking tail. And there's nothing wrong with that he came from somewhere else. I like fighters that come from all over the place. I don't care. If they're good, they're good. And I want to see them. But I'm not going to separate myself because of nationality. That's just like on last night's stream when I said the Mexican people should be celebrating their asses off. This is the first time in history they've had a heavyweight champion. And guess what? There were better fighters than the guy you saw win last night as Mexican fighters fighting in the heavyweight division that never got this opportunity. So they should celebrate. It should be a lot of Tecate bottles and everything, Modelo, all that stuff. The places should be full packed today, all week long. These people should be celebrating. Am I right about that, Kurt?
Absolutely. 2019, you got your first Mexican heavyweight champion. It's major because out of all the divisions in boxing, the heavyweight division is the highest profile, has the highest profile. And the heavyweight championship was once the most coveted prize in sports. So you should be happy because it's a rare feat. So that's a good thing. I don't care what a fighter look like, long as he can fight. I mean, everybody has pride, national pride, and there's tribalism in boxing because you relate to the guy that looks like you. I understand all that. I really do. But I just want to see good fights and something big happened yesterday that we're going to be talking about all week. We're talking about it again today. This is like my third or fourth live stream alone on the fight. And the fight just happened last night. So it's big because, Joshua and Hearn, they got a rude awakening. And I'm gonna tell you something about the UK fans. They fighters haven't done very well over here. Their biggest accomplishment is when Lloyd Hunnigan came over here and defeated Donald Curry in '86. Donald Curry was like number 2, number 3. Some people say number 1 pound for pound. I had him at like 2. Donald Curry was a hot fighter. Lloyd Hunnigan was talking. He said what he was going to do to Curry. He came over to America and he conquered. He came, he saw, he conquered. So that's the biggest feat that the UK ever did. Not Calzaghe because he waited till Jones and Hopkins got old. Lennox Lewis wasn't regarded as a true Brit. Randy Turpin defeated Sugar Ray Robinson in England. So that's your biggest feat. But yesterday, the UK fans were just dealt with a cold dose of reality. The American boxing ghost was in the building last night.
Yeah. Bonton South D Town says they made a big mistake. They should have cashed out with Wilder. At least they would have made a lot of money with the loss that they dropped the ball because they had the opportunity but didn't take it. Well, one thing I'll say about that, Bonton, is like they were using this kid as a commodity and they were building their own family wealth off of his back. That's the thing. See, you still have to understand that. Remember Barry Hearn talking about there was a time we didn't have to call these guys Mister and all of that. He had a slave, plantation master's mindset. Okay. And AJ was their mule. Okay. And you don't give your good mule up for nothing as long as he's producing and you're getting what you want out of your mule. Okay. And he's taking care of your land. That's what it's about. And the land was shrinking under their feet over there. So they had to come over into this market to get some of the dollars over here. But see, over here, you got some jackals, you got some wolves, huh? You got some coyotes, huh? And that mule got chewed up. That's what happened. Simple as that. Sheldon Holmes says, them MFs over there have been singing Sweet Carolina. Take that back over there. Yeah, absolutely. Nitty G says, salute LDBC. Chicago South Side, we in here. That's right. Nitty G, I didn't know you from the shot, man. I'm here too, bro. So, hey, congratulations. I'm glad to know you from the shot. Sheldon Holmes says, all that AJ is so technical. Man, get out of here. Yes, sir. BBG also says, I watched the fight a bunch more times. AJ got broke mentally. He wanted to quit when he first got clipped, and he wasn't that shook up. He could have continued to fight if he had nuts. Yeah, that's, why we're going through this stream, and I titled it Anatomy of a Paper Chumpion. That's what my title is for this, because on paper, he was a champ, but he turned out to be a chump. Huh? That's what it is. Mexican Fight Fan says, I told y'all, Puro Paniche, Andy Ruiz. Hey man, you got Mexican Fight Fan. Celebrate to your heart's content, man. I'm telling you, this is history. You understand? This is history. It's like when Jesse Owens won in the Olympics back in, what was that, 38, Kurt? It's like this is the thing that you celebrate, man. I have no problem. If you want to talk a ton of crap, you talk your crap, man. Because guess what? Ruiz won. And he didn't get a gift decision. It wasn't a lucky punch. It wasn't some kind of home run. He put that dude on his ass 3-4 times, man. And the dude didn't want no more. He didn't want no more smoke. But he running around here and there's people telling everybody that he's the face of boxing. He's the ass of boxing. They had the two things twisted. The ass was up there and the face was down there. Huh? They showing people the wrong shit, man. So celebrate. Frank the French says AJ don't have that fear factor or the spite. He needs to be champ. He looked overawed and lost from the minute that he landed in the U.S. That may be true. Mexican Fight Fan says Ruiz versus Wilder for undisputed. Mexican Fight Fan also says, what up, Kurt? Some more congratulations and what's up there. Sheldon Holmes says, I knew it was over when he came out of the corner and his legs were still gone. Mexican Fight Fan says Ruiz came to fight. Clifton Bronson says Eddie Hearn got to push T. I got heavyweight history for cheap teas. Oh, Mexican Fight Fan says, fuck King Kong Ortiz. Let's make Ruiz versus Wilder for undisputed. Hey, I want to say something about that, guys. I'm going to come back. I'm just trying to roll through these chats because there's so many people rocking with us, and I don't want them to think that I'm forgetting about them. Jay Dixon says AJ wanted that UK stoppage. Yeah, when Ruiz hit the canvas, he wanted the ref to wave it off. Mexican Fight Fan says at the Staples Center, Fountain South, D-Town says he was backing AJ up the whole fight. Yes, he was. BBG says AJ quit. He can't get no type of rematch. Unification trumps everything. Let's get it. Fountain South D-Town says AJ had all the advantages. The height, the arm reach, and still lost. Sheldon Holmes says Ruiz got up off the canvas and whooped that boy ass. Mexican Fight Fan says Wilder versus Ruiz is a 50-50 fight, in my opinion. Bun South D-Town says Blue Blood Sports TV reported that when they asked AJ if he was going to exercise his rematch clause, he said, I don't know. I am not sure. BBG says Wilder fights tall and can keep Ruiz on the end of his jab. I could see him punching through the high guard too. Mexican Fight Fan says, I hope this fight is a reminder for Bud and Spence. He also says no more marinating in boxing. Yes, sir. Derek McGee says that Mexican Fight Fan 50-50. And Derek, Mexican Fight Fan said, at Derek, yep. Mexican Fight Fan says Ruiz got a chin and is a calculated pressure boxer. Macadam 1 says salute. Derek McGree says that Mexican Fight Fan, how much do you want to bet if they fight? Mexican Fight Fan says Wilder is the kingpin at heavyweight though. Let's not get that twisted. BBG says Ruiz won't be able to take Wilder's power. No way. If AJ can put him down, what do you think Wilder will do? And Mexican Fight Fan says that's if Wilder catches him clean. Derek McGree says send me your email address. Mexican Fight Fan says Wilder's right hand is devastating, but he got no left hook or body work to trouble Ruiz that much. BBG says Ruiz can't avoid Wilder for 12 rounds. No one else has. Clifton Bronson says, don't forget Lucas in the oil and sugar in the tank. Hey, man, I'm going to skip through because there's so many that I got to catch up on. But the fact of this matter, what remains here is that, you know, as the fighters get exposed, okay, sometimes they have to go back to the drawing board. Sometimes, you know, they they come across situations where they can make choices. So that comment earlier, Kurt, where it was stated that let's make the Ruiz fight with Wilder. What if Wilder's people threw a huge bag at Ruiz so he could get the undisputed title? What do you think about that?
Yeah, but if they have a rematch clause, you know, they're gonna have to deal with that, Eddie Hearn. You know, because there's a stiff penalty. You know, if you
Right,
don't exercise.
but if AJ don't want the rematch.
Well, then you know, he's gonna have to pay Ortiz step aside money. You know, and if Ortiz take it, then you're gonna have Wilder versus Ruiz for undisputed. You know, so some things has to be worked out for them two to fight because you still got Ortiz and Joshua. Hearn's gonna convince Joshua to take the rematch, and they're gonna throw the bag at him in the UK. You know, now they're gonna try to outbid him, but you got to follow the rule. You know, the rule is a rematch clause, unless they, Eddie Hearn says, okay, we'll step aside, for cash, and Ortiz step aside, and then I mean not Joshua, Wilder and Ruiz will fight for all the belts. But now we're saying this has to happen, that has to happen. You know, what if Ortiz don't want to step aside? What if Joshua wants to exercise his contract, and fight the rematch in UK? They're gonna throw the bag at Ruiz. And like I said, Ruiz ain't gonna be around that long, but you don't have to. Mission accomplished. But it's gonna be very interesting to see what direction Ruiz go, because you got a lot of things that's in the way of the Wilder fight. Wilder is booked up for Ortiz and Fury. He's gonna make money, a lot of money, his next two fights, especially with the Fury rematch, a lot. If he want all the belts, then Ortiz has to step aside and they can get it done, maybe, October, November. But if not, then October, November, he might fight Joshua in the rematch.
Yeah, you said it perfectly, Kurt. It's a lot of just business and stuff that's going on as far as who's going to fight who. It'll be pretty difficult to have everything play out to where Wilder would fight Ruiz next. Of course, I would like to see that happen, but I just don't believe I wouldn't bet on it happening next.
Yeah. Xavier the boxing nerd says that do you think that this was bigger than Tyson Douglas? I don't think so, because from the standpoint of knowing Mike Tyson was the real undisputed heavyweight champion of the world and was really going through people like a hot knife through butter, his reputation was real. AJ was more of a fabrication. And we all knew that if he was ever in a 50-50 fight, he could possibly lose. So, and he hadn't faced anyone that could even put that. So I don't look at this as that. I look at it more as him being exposed than anything. He was just a prospect who got a hold of some belts very early and was trying to walk on eggshells holding those belts until hoping that nobody could snatch them away. And they wanted to make as much money as they could while they had that. It's just that Ruiz, you think about it like this. If Ruiz was a good journeyman, you know, uh, if a good journeyman can knock out a guy that had all those belts, what does that say who that guy was? Not the journeyman, but who that guy was. You know, we used to have a fighter called Joe Hip in the heavyweight division, and he give your ass a good ass fight, wouldn't he, Kurt? Joe Hip.
Yeah, man, I remember that fight with Joe Hip versus Tommy Morrison. That was a real good heavyweight fight. Good fight. He
And
hurt Morrison in that fight.
Joe Hip was kind of like Ruiz in the sense that he wasn't a body beautiful guy, but he had some skills, he had some ability, and he had heart. And it's like he gave fighters good fights. He would never be what you would consider a heavyweight contender, but he was definitely a guy who would give you a fight. You're not gonna have an easy day when you go in there with Joe Hip. And I kind of consider Ruiz that type of guy. You're not gonna have an easy day if you go in there with Ruiz. But you better be a well-rounded, you know, fighter who can handle himself, who can do a variety of things. And AJ never showed any of that. This man was being backed up by Ruiz, and Ruiz wasn't even stalking him behind a stiff, hard jab or anything. He was basically cutting the ring off on AJ and using movement and using his footwork. And AJ had no answers for that.
I'm gonna tell you something about the heavyweight division. This is great for boxing because it shook. I mean, this is a upset of epic proportions, man. One bookie had it 45-1. Ruiz. That's bigger than Tyson and Douglas, but it was on paper, it was 20-1. Hakeem Rockman and Lennox Lewis was 20-1. Evander Holyfield, Mike Tyson, people forget the disrespect. Holyfield opened at 25-1, and it wound up being 12-1 the night of the fight. The odds was dropping. George Foreman and Michael Moore, think you had some huge upsets. Frankie Randall and Chavez. It was just, this is what boxing is all about. Michael Bent and Tommy Morrison is another one. And everybody know about Douglas and Tyson, Ali and Foreman. So it happens, man. It doesn't happen every day, but it happens. History will tell you different. And that's the beautiful, thing about boxing. It's not like basketball, football, because in boxing, one left hook to the chin, he can look like Adonis. He can be dominating, and kaboom, the fight's over. You know, and hey, I'm loving it right now. I'm bittersweet because I wanted Wilder to get the fight, but hey, J Rock overheard. Ruiz knocks out Joshua. 3 more weeks, we got Charlo and Harrison. I'm loving boxing right now. Loving it.
Boxing is on fire right now. Boxing is truly on fire. Uh, Xavier the boxing nerd also says AJ was gassed after the third round out of 12. Shaking my head. No, Xavier, he wasn't gassed. He was mentally broken. Uh, he had no. He had no. I'll tell you something. When your anxieties and everything get to you, your stamina and everything won't even come into it, it won't factor because you psychological. That's why we're talking about the fight game and Deontay Wilder in his interview with 78. He said for him it's 90+% mental for him. So he's in a certain frame of mind when he's in there. You understand? But most of the trainers will tell you it's anywhere between, you know, 70 to 80% mental in boxing because your psychological identity, who you are as a person, how you handle stress, how you handle duress, how you handle pressure, how you handle opposition, how you take determination and will, all of that factors in tremendously. And if any of that or a combination of that is questionable, then it could all leave you in a moment. It will feel like you fought 8 rounds and you've only been 2 or 3. Huh? And that's what happened to AJ. You could see the event got to him. Did you see him in the corner when they were doing the ring announcements of the fighters, how he was leaning in the ropes and he had his mouthpiece hanging out his mouth, and he was trying to talk himself. He was trying to be cool and calm. He was trying to do these things. If you have to try to do those things, you've already at a deficit. You should be that way. He said he fought in front of 90,000 in Wembley, right? That was the Madison Square Garden. There wasn't that many people there. But you know what it was? It was the whole thing about coming to the US. It was everything that they made a mockery of. Now
Hey,
the chickens had come home to roost. Now he had to stare the devil, the real devil, in the face. And that's the lies that Eddie Hearn had been putting out there. And he was sitting in that corner before that first bell, and he was saying to himself, what if I go out here and get fucked up? Huh? That's what he was saying to himself. He's like, what are people gonna think? What are people gonna say about me or whatever? That's why in the post-fight interview, you could see him smiling and everything. He wasn't smiling because he was glad he lost. He was smiling because that burden had been lifted. He actually went through it now and he realized, oh, it ain't as bad as what I thought it was going to be, but at least I don't got that monkey on my back no more. I don't have that pressure no more. That's what he's happy about. But I'm telling you, it's a psychological thing, and the guy, he he will never be the same. He will never be the same.
hey, Kurt. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'd asked Stormy this question. At one point of the fight, did you know it was over for AGCJ?
I knew there was trouble when Ruiz got knocked down. He got back up.
Mm.
I could see the determination and Ruiz. I thought he was a little too patient, but I just had a feeling that he was going to get to Joshua, and Joshua wasn't going to recover. I say somewhere around the fourth round, I knew that Ruiz was going to win the fight.
Oh, damn.
Because in a fight doesn't lie, like an attitude doesn't lie. Your mouth can lie, but you could see the he was building blocks for a knockout. Ruiz got the knockout because he didn't rush. He was patient, a little too patient in the fourth round when Joshua was on wobbly legs. But he said he took his time, and in a post fight interview, he said I could have been more aggressive. But he got the knockout, so you can't say so much. He let the knockout come to him instead of forcing the knockout. If Joshua was smart, he would have threw left hook after left hook because Ruiz is wide open for a lot of punches, especially the left hook. He's wide open for it. But Joshua has a low boxing IQ. He looks like a fighter, but he's not a fighter. It's not in his soul. He's not. He looks the part, but he's not the part. Great fighters, they look the part. Ali looks the part, and he was the part. Same with Sugar Ray Leonard. They got boxing inside their blood. They're natural. They ain't no, you can't fool anybody. They're fighters from within. And a lot of people don't understand that. It's in their soul, it's in their blood, it's coursing through their veins. They're boxing one on one. They are. Joshua is not. He doesn't have no intangibles. When you don't have any intangibles, you're going to wind up losing because you don't know what to do. You don't know how to do them. You don't know. And that's something that you can't teach in the gym. It's not like hitting a heavy bag. You know, the mentality, the intestinal fortitude, the moxie, and the savviness of a fighter is everything. You know, the physical skills are only 30%. Only 30%. But when you get hit, what to do? Can you make adjustments? What to do? All that is intangibles. You got to have them. And, you know, when you watch fighters from America, we have them in abundance. We done had all the great fighters. They were highly skilled, but they had everything to go with the skill that made them special. A deep reservoir will to win, how to think, everything. And Joshua doesn't have that.
Yeah, you said that right. I was saying that before you came on. He just looked like a dude similar to how Layla Ali was. He like somebody that just has the people around him training him, and somebody just trains for boxing but doesn't really know how to fight. And there's a lot of fighters out there like that.
You gotta
Yeah.
have it, man. It's just something special you gotta have. I can't even put my finger on it, man. In this country, man, will give you a rude awakening. Them guys that come out the inner cities, man, they're tough as nails, man. They're tough as nails. And then when you put skill on top of it, it makes them special. It makes them special. I can go on and on. I ain't gonna name the names. You know who they are. I mean, it's been decades upon decades where we've seen good to very good to great to special fighters that have that. Take a good shot on the chin, get knocked down, get back up, fire back. That's something you can't teach. You got to have it within. I don't care who it is.
Yeah, Kurt, I had said shortly before you joined us, I was even talking about the trainers. You know, the trainers over there, they they can train professional fighters up to a certain point, and then there's a tremendous drop off in what the fighters over here enjoy as far as their, you know, for lack of a better term, like how they go to school, so to speak, in the gym. And it's always exposed in the same way when those fighters come over here to fight. It's usually things of defensive responsibility. It's usually ring IQ. It's usually uh, when the metal is being tested, so to speak. It's the same variables, and they don't know how to clean it up. They don't know how to improve it. The only way that it has improved for any fighter is when a fighter has come over here and begun to work with an American coach. And usually the fighter who has success with doing that is a guy that or a girl that's talented to a degree that help can be obtained over here. Usually like let's say Amir Khan. Um it doesn't matter. Amir Khan, you could have Bowie Fisher or whoever as his coach and trainer, he'll still go out there with the same results and everything because of his psychological profile, who he is as a person. And that's something that a coach can't fix. You know, he's a dumb fighter. There's a lot of dumb fighters out there. But fighters that are not dumb, who do have an acumen, who have an IQ that can receive teaching and instruction and absorb what is there to be offered to them, they can go to another level. And people like to throw this phrase out there, there's levels to this ish. Yeah, there is levels to this ish. But the thing about it is you have to have someone who can take you through the changes of those levels. And it's sorely missed over there on that side of the pond.
Yeah, they just don't have what we have, man. And I have nothing against the UK. I respect the UK because that's where boxing came from. It's just that over here we just built differently, man. We're built differently. I mean, there's a fighter from my hometown, man, named Marvin Hagler. And Stormy or the chat, can you imagine the toughest fight I ever seen? An animal like Hagler quitting? Can you imagine that? That's just like him in the middle of a Hearns fight, and he just said, "You know what? this is just too hard. I'm gonna put my arms on the ropes and I ain't coming out the corner. It's just a different ball game over here, man. You know, it's just a different ball game over here. Those are what you call born fighters, man. It's just that fighting spirit, that you have. Certain fighters quit. Certain fighters quit on the stool. Certain fighters, they stop fighting when they know they're defeated. A lot of Mayweather opponents was like that. Victor Ortiz used to quit on his stool. It's just something you got to have in you, man. That intangible, like Rocky used to say before, the eye of the tiger. Exactly.
Yeah, man. To see fighters who can't progress to another level is it's a fascinating thing to watch because like Kirk has seen it. I know I have seen it over the years, and even Hyphy has seen it as well. Uh, there are guys who just will break free and they'll go to another level, and it usually has a lot to do with character. Usually, you can have the talent, you can have, like I said, you can have the intellect and everything, the heart and all of that, but there's something else. There's a special quality that gets you to that, And Kurt Hyphy asked me the same question that he asked you. When did you feel that AJ was going to lose that fight? And we almost had the exact same response, with the exception of what I told Hyphy was when AJ knocked him down and he got back up and he knocked AJ down. I saw the fight leave AJ at that moment because someone stood up to him. Someone said, no, it ain't going to be that easy. And he didn't say, well, let me see, let me try. You see, he didn't do that. From that point on, he was surviving himself. And because Ruiz Jr. is not a shark that just went after him, like you said, he went about his business, he was patient and everything, but he wasn't a shark that went to blaze after him. If he had been that type of guy, you would have saw AJ crumple up even more, because that's about who a person is on the inside. But it is better that it happened this way, because you can't deny the fact that Ruiz Jr. used skill to take him out. Regardless of his body shape and all of that, that young man fought with skill. He beat AJ with skill and ability. His shots on the inside, which were short, compact combination punches that were effective, AJ didn't know what to do. And do you remember I said recently, I don't remember what stream, I said he's not an inside fighter. He's not. And Ruiz got close to him and he laid that leather on his ass. And he, by him not being an inside fighter, he ended up getting stopped.
Yeah, anybody has a chance against AJ. Ruiz just it would have been Big Baby Miller. It would have definitely been Ortiz. It was just Ruiz, because if you could hit him and back him up and get on the inside, which I've been saying on World Breaker, and I broke down the Ruiz fight. I said Ruiz's best chance is to get on the inside and let his hands go, and that's exactly what happened, because he's susceptible to pressure, and he's not the type of fighter. Once he gets hits, he's going to become discombobulated, and basically that's what happened. Ruiz got on the inside, and I seen when he landed a punch, it was short left hook on the temple, and he never recovered. He was getting hit and hurt by every punch. Every time Ruiz landed, his legs would do a dance, and I said, yeah, he's gone. Then that body shot, which was very smart, was the coup de grace, because it folded him up and he clenched. I said, yeah, he's wore down. He was breathing heavy. I said, he's had it. And next thing you know, fight's over.
Man, it was just the look on his face after that first knockdown for me that he just looked like, man, that was not supposed to happen. And it was like he was embarrassed, which he should have been, but like, dude, you got to have some fight in you. You that big and you just that soft. Man, I'm sorry, man. I could just laugh at this dude.
Yeah, it's one of those things that like Kurt and myself, we know we've seen so many fights over the years, and even in seeing this is not new. It's not new, but it's a hell of a wake up call for those people from the UK because, as I stated earlier in my opening remarks here, they've been sold, you know, some fool's gold. You know, you had people like Nigel Benn, you had Tony Bellew, guys who were actually more accomplished in the sport than them. Johnny Nelson, and I don't like Johnny Nelson at all, man. That guy, but the thing about it is they're saying all these things, but they were saying it to the fans, they were saying it to the public in the press, but they didn't even believe that. They didn't believe it because, and I'll tell you why they didn't believe it. Because it was, you could tell by the preposterous remarks that they would make. Deontay needs to be realistic. He needs to come down and understand that AJ is the A side and this and that. When they were saying foolishness like that, you have to understand that that was just speak. They didn't even believe that crap. But that's what, and the UK fans should be, excuse me, they should be angry at those guys too. Because y'all just bluffing, y'all telling us, y'all selling us wolf tickets, man. Huh? It reminds me of that episode of Martin when Hustle Man was saying that they was going down to the mall or whatever, and he said he was gonna sell some Whitney Houston shirts, and he pulled the shirts out, and the shirt said Whitney Hutton with a picture of Hustle Man with a wig on and some makeup on it, like dressed up like he was Whitney Houston, right? It was like, yo, Chief, they can't wait to buy some of these, man. I'm selling these Whitney Houston shirts. And Martin told him, he's like, Hustle Man, that's you on the picture, man. It's like, and what's this Whitney Hutton stuff? You know, but again, there's some fool who's gonna buy it. Somebody would buy it. It's that there's a market out there. There are people out there willing to give you. I'm just gonna say it. They willing to give you their booty, man. Willingly, huh? They give you the booty, huh? And there's some people out there that's gonna take it. Now, who you gonna be mad at? Go ahead, Hype. I know you want to say something.
No, I'm not really laughing. I just keep seeing this dude just fall down. Like to me, it's just embarrassing. You got this dude, and the whole time we've been hearing, oh, his physique, he's so big, his muscles. This dude just so fucking big, and he just falling over like that, getting just chopped down. He was getting chopped down without even getting broke down to the body. He was just stumbling over.
Dude, it was like when he got hit in the head and his legs started doing the jitterbugs. I was like, damn, do Ruiz crack like that? But then I realized, I'm like, he ain't used to being hit in the head. He ain't used, the guy was making contact. Plus he was already frightened, already had all of these anxieties and stuff. And that's a recipe for disaster, man. He was ready to be taken, you know. they could have played, Dead Man Walking on his ring walk, because that was pretty much it. I don't know, man. It's like,
Yeah, and it's guys. It's like people they don't want to admit the fact that the dude he quit in that fight, man. That's the next thing, the controversy of it. That dude quit. He had quit all over his face. And I've seen guys quit just like that. They really wanted to quit, but they didn't want it to look so obvious. And then they try to act like, the referee did the wrong thing. That dude had quit all over his face.
yeah, it's one of those things that, like, we have, so much to say about this, because we've been listening, man. We've been listening 3-4 years of this crap, and it's like having to listen to these. I hope BFTB's channel is able to survive now, because even the trolls, they go to his channel, will they come out? Because he's been baking them, right? But now that they seen for themselves, it's like, man, I can't wait to jump at the bit to see what's happening over there, because he's been cooking these guys with legitimate facts and this and that. But now that they've seen it, like Kurt said on our stream last night, it was like that little kid in the wheelchair in the Great White Hype when Danny Boy got knocked out, and he just dropped his flag and hung his head. Tell us about that, Kurt.
Yeah, the movie The Great White Hype, when the guy, they propped him up to be a white heavyweight champion, and he fought the real heavyweight champion. Forgot his name. The Grim Reaper was his nickname, I think, in the movie. And he knocked out Peter Berg, which is the real life actor who I don't like at all. And the fans, they start singing Danny Boy, Danny Boy, and you see the guy in the wheelchair, the little kid hung his head and dropped the Irish flag. It was hilarious, man. Hilarious. That's a good movie, man. Hilarious boxing movie. Yeah, so that's what it reminded me of, because here was a guy you prop up to be this big star, and when he fought somebody that can fight back, the air came out of his balloon. And then the music is the soundtrack of life, and then here comes that song, Danny Boy, and the guy hung his head in a wheelchair, and he was a distraught little kid. Oh boy. Boy, 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 boy.
So,
Might be.
Go ahead, Hyphy.
No, I was just still over here laughing. Like I said, it just amazes me, like just the size difference in the ring. That was a huge size difference, and I was watching the fight again. As far as just the from the physical standpoint, you would say the dude had all the tools to, if not stop him, at least to dominate, to pitch a shutout against the dude. He had all of the tools, and just completely just flopped.
Yeah, because glad for Reeves, and nothing against Reeves, but Reeves looked like an egg with a belt around it. But he got the job done. That's the only thing that counts. He doesn't have the body beautiful, none of that, but he has fast hands, and he did the damn thing last night. So shout outs to Andy Ruiz, man, becoming the first Mexican heavyweight champion in history.
Yeah, we can't get around that fact, man. That's like, for he and how he represented and handled himself, hats off to that guy, man.
Yeah, he's riding the mighty high. Ride the mighty high. Listen to my story. Ride the mighty high. I used to love that song. And that's what Ruiz is doing.
Yeah, I need to. Well, we all need to, because we so caught up on just this dude AGCJ. We really haven't focused on Ruiz that much, and I definitely got to give him his props because I counted him out as well, but I had already given him respect because he did what everybody would have thought Ortiz would have done, which is just at least you hit the jackpot by accepting the money and you getting a shot at the belt. So he took that, so I was already proud of the guy. And the weigh-in, from what I seen and heard, I guess it was everybody said, hey, they were just acting way too nice. It threw people off. Coming in there to lay down, he could have been setting the trap already, just blowing smoke by just being so nice, taking pictures with the belt and stuff. But I got to give that dude his props because he went out there and he actually tried, and it worked out for him. I don't. Well, Ruiz is not a world beater to me, but hey, you see what happens if you just give the effort, especially against a guy who is nowhere near as good as he was made out to be.
Well, he showed character. Um, he said the right things. He was happy to be there for that opportunity and everything. But on fight night, he let his fist do the talking. He didn't even I thought like after the first round, I think they touched gloves, that they went to the corners and stuff. And I was wondering, like, is he gonna, be that kind of guy, always congratulating AJ after every round and everything. But then I realized as I watched the fight, because I have to honestly admit, I did not watch any Ruiz fights trying to get more on the guy because I didn't do a breakdown or anything, and I had no intention. But his personality comes off to me like he a easygoing dude. You know, he got hands, but he a easygoing dude. And there's people out there like that, man. And sometimes those are the worst ones for you because they could touch you up and you would never know it. He whoop your butt and don't even change his expression on his face. Huh? That's what I saw from him. Hats off to that dude, man.
Hell yeah, he should be feeling on top of the world. Go ahead, Kurt.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm gonna enjoy this fight, man. I'm gonna look at it when I get off the live stream, and I mean, people is in a frenzy. The boxing world, man, it turned the boxing world upside down. Upside down, you turn me. I got this singing thing going on today, But despite that, man, I'm loving it. I wanted Wilder to be the first one. That's just like I love to see two undefeated fighters fight within the division, the two top dogs. Because I'm gonna tell you why. Muhammad Ali was 31-0 with 25 knockouts. Joe Frazier was 26-0 with 23 knockouts. Right? But imagine when Ali came back off suspension, imagine he would have lost to Oscar Bonavena or Jerry Quarry. The fight probably wouldn't have happened. It would have lost the fight with Frazier would have lost a lot of luster. With Ali being defeated by one of those guys. And my point being, I like to see fights that happen at the right time because boxing is about timing. I don't like to see fights marinate. The Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather fight didn't work out. Now you got Spencer Crawford. Two top dogs in the welterweight division that's undefeated, they got zeros. I want to see it now before one of them eventually loses. Even though the upsets are nice, but don't you think Wilder and Joshua would have been nicer? Because we kind of knew what was going to happen, and it would have been a fight that put boxing, right there. It would have been a very popular fight, very big fight. But now that's all gone, and we also lost out on a Charlo and Herb fight. They can fight later on, but it's not the same. You have to make these fights when they hot. But I mean, who am I to say? It's business. It's everything. There's a lot involved. So I just, I don't know, man. I just feel that boxing need big fights. I hope Spence and Crawford happens, even though the Andy Ruiz Jr. is a nice story, man. I'm glad for the dude, really am. But I'd rather see Wilder and Joshua for all the marbles. Of course, Wilder lost him out a lot of money. He can make that money back fighting Fury. He's gonna get a lot of money, but we missed out on that one, fellas.
I want to take it back to the chat for a moment for a comment that was made a while back. Bobby Jean says, I really think AJ been wanting to cash out. I think AJ wanted the 50 million, but Hearn wanted to get more money out of him. Man, that is a good perception right there of things, because if you remember originally when AJ was being asked about money for a Wilder fight, he said that, and when the Wilder team responded with 50 million, AJ was like, let's roll. And then Eddie Hearn stepped in and some things happened, and then AJ began to backtrack and stuff. And then that's when he was started talking about things like, well, I got a lot of people depending on me, and that the 50 million won't really actually be 50 million for me and everything. You see, that was very insightful, because again, thinking like, if AJ was going to get $50 million, why wouldn't he take the money? But that's the thing. They had lied to the public. AJ wasn't getting what he was saying. He was what Hearn was saying he was getting, and what was the perception of what he was getting as far as his purses and everything. These people were building on his back, their family wealth. He was their mule. I can't stress that enough. And it's a crying shame that he wasn't getting the percentages that he should be getting for the fame and accolades. Yeah, they've made him a famous guy, but sometimes the fortune doesn't equate with the fame. I remember when you see the story about TLC and their music deal that they had, they were like the group of the 90s and everything. But those girls didn't make no money, man. They were like, they it was a shame. The
Not to cut you
contract.
off, but they sold 10 million records and were broke.
Yeah. And that's, but see, AJ, he might have gotten $1 million, if his contract called for him to get 12 million. Guess who got the rest? Those guys. And if that is true, that's where they've been pimping him, you know, it would speak volumes of like his psychological behavior, because it's like, some people don't know. They don't realize that the game and how the game is played. Then they get exposed to some other people, and they start to hear the real talk and conversations and everything. And then they feel like, the depression sets in. Oh, I've been really played. I've been made a fool of. I've been this, I've been that. And then it becomes something totally different. You know, those type of things probably factor into this man and his career. But it's still, at the end of the day, a lot of it is his own fault. But I'm just saying that this is another aspect. And based off of that comment that was made there, that was more, Bobby G, that was a great comment, because it exists in the sports world. Exists in the entertainment field. You know, how much money is enough money for you? And when you sign contracts with companies and stuff like that, you belong. You belong to them. There's still guys out there making remarks about Deontay Wilder and why he didn't take that deal for 100 and something million or whatever. Did they ever bother to think that maybe where he's at, the deal was even matched or made better? They didn't even think about that. You understand? So it's like if Deontay say he's good, Deontay is good. Why you in the man pockets? But AJ, apparently, there's a whole lot going on over there. And it's a shame, man. It really is. I hope the guy can keep himself together and he don't look for a coward's way out of things, really, at the end of the day.
And last night, that shows you why all of these online YouTube debates and stuff, they always bring up everything outside of the fight in the ring. You could talk about, all of those type of things, but what about talking about the potential fight in the ring? Y'all seen this dude was wobbly from, like I said, Ruiz, not a huge punch beater, but hey, he had heart, he showed effort. This dude had that dude on Queer Street. So imagine what that right hand from Wilder would have did. They don't even want to talk about that because last night showed. It showed last night.
Yeah, that's a shame. If that is a look into what the truth is, oh my goodness, that's ugly. That's really ugly.
And I know we don't talk about the business that much, but tell your man AJuicyJ he can enjoy accepting a $5 million flat fee for a fight against Wilder.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how the next few months play out for that guy. It's gonna be very interesting. What do you see for him, Kurt? From what you know of him, what do you see?
Joshua, the logical thing is trying to get the rematch. They're gonna try to save face. You know, they could try all they want, but regardless of what happened in rematch, he's gonna be remembered for this fight. But the only thing he can do is try to get his belts back. There's no need to fight anybody else. So Joshua's gonna, they're gonna try to get Ruiz, try to get him to fight the rematch in England. They're gonna offer him a lot of money, you know, and it's up to Ruiz. Ruiz could play hardball and says, "No, I don't think, I don't know if I'm gonna exercise the contract or whatever, or it's up to Hearn too because if he says, okay, you have to give us cash so you can fight Wilder for undisputed, but I don't think that's going to be it. They're going to offer Ruiz a lot of money so they can stage the rematch in November in the UK. That's the reasonable, logical choice. They have to get some get back. They have to. If not, man, if they let this go on without fighting Ruiz a second time, not only Joshua, but the UK boxing world, it's going to crumble. It is, man. Something like this, the magnitude of this fight, it's a lot more, it's done a lot more damage than what you think because Hearn and the Matchroom and UK boxing is looking really bad right now. It really is.
Yeah, I want to know how like the other promoters over there, like the other guy, what's his name, Kirk, that's been around a very long time.
Oh, I see his guys in my face. I forgot his name, man. Frank Warren.
Frank Warren, guys like that who have been in the boxing game and promoting a long time. Eddie Hearn out front for Matchroom and everything. He's done them a disservice tremendously. Boxing over there, what he has done. I mean, what do you think? You might have a little bit of a different insight on it or whatever, but I just think like, wow, that guy, they would probably want to get rid of him. It's like because he's not good for the sport at all.
Yeah, I mean that's up to John Skipper, man. Get rid of Hearn. Frank Warren was a better promoter. He understood the American media, the American market better than Hearn. He's not arrogant. He's from the old school, So he's better. He would have been a better fit Eddie Hearn is a younger guy, doesn't really understand, came up, well-to-do family man, thought he understood America where he could just bring any old fighter to America and conquer it. And he got a rude awakening last night. The chickens came to roost last night. That's the best way I can put it. And Eddie Hearn they probably saying behind closed door, he's not the guy we thought he was. Eddie Hearn probably sold him on an idea of a boxing takeover, starting this app, but it's not working out like that. He hasn't signed fighters they thought he would get, and they losing money. So things are not looking good right now for Eddie Hearn, especially losing the champion, heavyweight champion.
And to add on to that, it was a rumor that kicked off a couple weeks ago about the zone, possibly being sold and stuff. But even if those are not true, but they're trying to, invest in their company. Can y'all imagine just the hit they took last night by that happening?
Absolutely.
Man, that's crazy. And y'all see, just everybody in the chat, this is the most we ever talk about anything like business related to boxing. But once again, we've been getting for at least 2 years, so we just getting it all out now.
Yeah, because this is not something to talk about on an everyday basis, and because a gravy train has come to a halt, we're just analyzing it from all the different angles of how this freak show had been put together. And it was put together in a manner of which we weren't supposed to see under the hood. Not until they did their snatch and grab. But by the time they got on the road for the snatch and grab, somebody else intercepted the stagecoach, and robbed them. So it's like snatched their chains, took their Nikes, in New York of all places.
For the jack moves, son.
Break
Man.
yourself, that's what they did.
Hey, and this whole damn, that's a good point too. This whole America invasion. Hey, after last night, that's gonna be
Yeah. The, the, that whole transatlantic everything, I think those ships they sank, man. The torpedoes took them out. His life rafts all out in the sea and everything now. So, that's the way it happens though. You come out there like that, you stick your neck out, you get chopped off. That's what happened. Huh?
okay. I'm back now.
Yeah, go
Now,
ahead. You were
yeah,
cooking. Go ahead.
I was saying, we seen what happened with Ricky Hatton when he came over. Even though he just lost the fight, fair and square. He said he had butterflies, and then you see what happened with this guy. So in the future, it may be bad because those guys will be more hesitant to come over here. But right now, being that they're trying to do this whole USA invasion, I think a lot of those fighters are going to freeze up when it comes time to come over here.
I never freeze. You know what's funny? The the fact that what you just said, Hyphy, coming over here and freezing up. If you're really good, if you about what you can do and everything, that shouldn't matter. It really shouldn't. What you should have is people around you to take care of your environment, your personal needs and everything, as far as your food, your drink, because there have been evidence in the past of tampering. So you have to have people look out for you in those kind of ways. Your safekeeping and all that. But you know, when you go get in that ring, you got to take care of business. And when that bell rings, it's just you and the other guy. You also have to be aware of the fact that people cheat. They do things. It might be a guy got something on his gloves. It might be a lot of that stuff. And when you going outside of your environment, that's whether they coming over here or we going over there or whatever. It's a reality. There's a history of things that have taught what to be mindful of. And if your people, your camp, if they don't understand that, they better, because it could all come crumbling down for you. You know, a lot of fighters went over there and fought Klitschko in Germany and had some very negative things to say after coming out of those fights in Germany. You know, I won't go into it on here, but I've got firsthand information on stuff that has gone down when you travel and venture over there and you fight in the fighters' home country and stuff like that. There's some of the things they try to do to you. You
Yeah,
know,
throw you off your game.
yeah, of course. And if that guy happens to be the champ, they do everything to keep him in favor of remaining the champ. And you have the house stacked against you. You know, if you're the challenger, I mean, if you're the champion and you're going over there, they do the same thing. You know, whether it's the judges and everything, that they're gonna put themselves in a position where they can get the better of you. Manny Pacquiao found that out when he went over there to that guy Jeff Horn's country. He found it out.
Yeah, the goal is to you could leave, but make sure that belt stays here. While we speaking of the fight last night, if we could just venture off a little bit, I want to get you guys' take. All right, so the fight before the co-main event, how y'all feel about this dude, Callum? What y'all feel about him?
Well, I'll let Kurt go because I didn't get a chance to see that match.
Oh, he fought a nobody, Hassim and Dom. He's done, man. Dom is a C-level fighter, so of course he's gonna look good. You know, one punch knockout. For Callum Smith. He doesn't have the athletic ability to beat Canelo. I have to see more of Callum Smith. It's hard to assess a guy's talent when he's fighting inferior talent. Hassan and Dom, you know, would have been a better fight 3 or 4 years ago, but it wasn't much of a test. They knew that going in. That's why he was picked. He was handpicked, to make Callum Smith look good, and that's what happened. Callum Smith scored the knockout.
Yeah, and that dude was extremely chinny at 160, and he was like 37 now, so obviously he's well past his best. And you can see by the size difference, these dudes like they was about 3 weight divisions apart. So that wasn't even a competitive fight at all. That fight was put on to make Callum look good in his American debut. What about all right, so Pursoon versus um um um, um what's the name?
Katie Taylor.
Katie Taylor. Yeah. What about
Yeah,
that one? Because
I thought Katie Taylor lost, man. I thought they robbed Prasan. I thought she was aggressive. It was effective aggression. She was hurting Taylor. Taylor was gassed. Prasan bought the fight to her. She was the champion. So was Taylor, man. So I knew they was gonna rob her. I just knew it. That was easy one to predict. I thought she won a close unanimous decision. You know, I would have gave it to her for sure, but she got robbed because they trying to market Katie Taylor. But you see, another hype job. She ain't that good.
man, you seen that one, Stormy?
No, I just had talked to Kurt about it, and he let me know what had happened. My stream was coming in late, and then I didn't really get the real feed until when the guys got in the ring for the main event. So, but I was watching uh, Devin Alexander get touched up uh on the PBC on that PBC card.
Man, let me tell you about this Katie Taylor. This girl is just horrible. Now Person, I believe that's how you say her name. I'm not gonna say she's good either. She just has the heart of a fighter. Like her technique is bad also, but she just has the heart, the will. But Taylor, dude, she's no good. You could tell she been beating up complete nobodies. This chick was getting tagged. Like she would come out of a clinch with her hands down, completely down, and just start getting tagged upstairs. Um, if that was 3 minute rounds, she would have got stopped due to accumulation punches. She's just not good, man. You know, she could has the record, has the belts, but that chick is not good at all. It's a huge level, just as far as ability between her and Clarissa, or even just other like women champions, even like Hammer. Like it's just a huge level. She's just not good, man. I'm sorry.
Well, that's what they like to do. They like to give us those hype jobs, man.
Yeah, she's lucky. There's nobody, no other like really big fight close to her weight. You know, she would have to move up at least like 2 divisions just to fight somebody. She's lucky though, because yeah, she would be food for anybody.
What's her
Yep.
weight class again?
She's lightweight, so
Yeah,
yeah, she's
we
like,
got Amanda Serrano there, I think.
oh yeah,
Right?
yeah, 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 yeah. You do have, yeah. Amanda Serrano is over there, yeah. She's like if she was at like 140, referring to Katie Taylor, and Breakers being at 147, who they say she makes it easy. If that was a fight, yeah, she would get destroyed by Breakers, because Taylor is just horrible, and the fact that she can walk around saying she's undisputed now, nah, man. She gassed like halfway through the fight. She was getting tagged so much. Man, she just not good.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was definitely in the works. Obviously, if that AGCJ fight would have went to the cards, of course he would have got the nod. Ray Robinson, everybody felt he won that fight, and he got robbed by getting the draw last night.
Yeah, another hype job. He hands down fake Roy Jones want to be, you know, try to be pretty and showboat, man. It backfired. I thought Ray Robinson won that fight, man. You know, they call it a draw. You know, it wasn't a great fight. It was kind of boring. You know, I thought Ray Robinson did enough to win, man, and they called it a draw. Kelly know he got away with one. You know, Taylor and Kelly and Joshua, man, all hype jobs, man. The only one that looked good was seriously was Buatsi, you know, that black dude from Britain who's a light heavyweight. And Callum Smith, he fought in down, but he got the knockout. But all of them, man, are hype jobs, man. Not good at all. Not good. Can't fool us. Seriously, man.
Hey, it is and Ray Robinson, he had just fought what, about 2 months ago or so, and he fought the
Yeah,
guy Mean Machine, who was supposed to.
yeah. Kava Caucus. I thought he beat him
And that
too.
they were hyping up that dude, and he beat him too, but they called it a draw. So these are two guys who are being pushed because of the complexion, and they couldn't get past Ray Robinson, who has lost to guys like Porter and Ugas, but these guys, they can't beat him at all.
Yep.
Well, that's what I said about those dudes over there. You know, they are good up to a certain level, okay, and then they're ready to be exposed. Uh, Ivy made that mention about earlier about Ricky Hatton coming over here, Amir Khan coming over here, Kell Brook coming over here. and Kell Brook came over here and won a title, so he was definitely someone who was a little bit above what what they usually, stir up there. Um, and congratulations for him for coming over here and winning. But the thing is, a lot of those guys, they don't graduate to the next level.
Yep. Yeah, that is true, man. If I was a fighter for England, I would come over here as much as possible. I'd probably live over here, just to get that feel for the American gyms and the sparring and fighting and American fighters at the beginning of my career, because something don't go well over there, man. They come over here and thinking it's the same or I can deal with it. That's not the case. It's not the case, because everything over here is just better. Not to sound condescending, but it's the truth when you talk about the world of boxing.
Yeah, I guess I could give Amir Khan some credit now that I see what happened last night, because at least Khan has got, knocked the hell down and, got up and fought back, in most of his fights prior to last fight. But, so I guess that does make Amir look a little bit better. And it's funny because Amir was another dude who been dissing the hell out of AJCJ also.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Some people know what was happening behind the scenes. Like I said, they get the gym information before we do. AJ was always going to be in an uphill struggle. It's just that his management team and everything, they did everything they could to keep the guy safe, keep him looking like something and everything, and building on that hype with those trolling fans, that fan base. They sold some
Absolutely.
lemons, man. They sold some lemons.
Yeah, this train has come to an end. You probably gonna see Mr. Eddie, walking around looking very stressed out. he might go missing for about 4 or 5 days or so. It's gonna be bad. Some of these accounts that we used to seeing online, you might not ever see any of them again, unfortunately.
Yep. That's a great thing. That's a great thing. And I said it. I said, um, and this was not a slap at Best Fight the Best when I said it earlier about like those trolls and stuff that go to his channel, because he be feeding on those guys. But will they show up now? I mean, of course they're gonna put their own spin on everything. But man, what can you do? They snatched old boy. They snatched his chain. They took his Nikes. He got jacked. So it's like, what y'all gonna say now?
Yeah, it's over for them dudes, man. It's no excuses. Can't say the dude was robbed. It was stopped well, they gonna come with, oh, it was stopped premature, and he wasn't focused. Funny things happen in America, man. The dude should have never even been in that position in the first place. Let alone
Yep.
dropped 4 times.
I agree. I agree. So, hey, brothers, let's get some final words here, man, and get ready to close this out. So, um, Hyphy, you want to say something? You want to close?
Yeah, brother. So, it was just definitely good to see this happening. I know a lot of people like to say, "Oh, I'm not a." It's not that I dislike AJ. Well, I'll be the odd man out. I will tell y'all, I dislike the dude. I still dislike him. So, look, this dude, his train. Hey, it just came to an end. Like Stormy and Kurt was saying, it's always these, foreign guys that they just try to build up so much, and then they get exposed at the end. Time tells the truth. That's what happened. Let's just enjoy this for hey, we probably don't got no fights for another 2 weeks or so. So hey, this is what we about to do for 2 weeks. We just about to sit and enjoy this.
No,
That's all I
Triple
gotta
G
say.
fighting Saturday.
Oh yeah. Well. Oh, in that case, like I said, it ain't no real fights coming up in a couple of weeks. But yeah, I'm gonna pass it to Kurt. I'm done.
Yeah, well, it was very interesting. Last night was very interesting. You know, that we had history. So I'm sad about the Wild and Joshua fight not happening. Lost its luster, and then UK and America was good for boxing. The rivalry, it's kind of one sided now. They're reeling right now. So hey, that's the way it goes. And we talk boxing every day. I know I think it every day, and being a boxing stupid man. Hey, like you got Charlton Harrison coming up, Triple G next week. Getting older. You just never know sometimes. Lightning strikes. It struck last night. Goddamn. J Rock and Herb, man, boxing is on fire right now, and that's what we want. That's what we want. So this AJ thing ain't going away no time soon, man. But thanks for having me on, and we'll talk about it later during the week. I was just thinking, Stormy, I think since the upset last night, we're gonna do a future show on three wise men of boxing, and we're gonna talk about, the biggest upsets in boxing history. That's a good topic, so I'll brainstorm with you on that later on. And I think the chat, and like I always say, same bat time, same bat channel.
Yes, sir. And once again, I would like to say shout out to everybody who turned out for this spur of the moment stream, just as another word on the events that took place last night. Shout out to the LDBC. Um, and I want to say that we have been very strong about standing up for what's right in the sport and everything. But as my title of this stream, Anatomy of a Paper Champion, implies, is that we also can sniff out when the BS is happening. I mean, fans of the sport can get on their, you know, they can get in their feelings about who they like, who they support, and everything. But at least on my channel, I am very responsible with talking about the X's and O's of boxing. And to borrow a phrase that my man Ack Reacher says, I'll never steer you wrong on that, because I know boxing when it comes down to the X's and O's. And I always will try to represent that way and most honest and truthful. This young man was placed out there far ahead of what he could bring to the sport. He didn't get a chance to develop and grow into something better than what we've seen of him. And now everything has come crashing down and he's been exposed. I hope that he has a family and everything, and I hope he's able to get himself together and get right and come back and maybe take a different path if he wants to continue to do this. But the one thing about the sport of boxing is you don't play boxing. You can get killed in that ring. And last night, he didn't represent himself very well or whatever because he was ill prepared. And he was ill prepared psychologically, okay, after being a hype job. And he wasn't hyping himself. It was the people around him. It was his supposed supporters and loved ones and everything, that investors and all of that. And they are a part of what happened as well. So hopefully that guy can get it together. But as far as his fan base and those trolling people, to hell with y'all. We celebrating. We're going to continue to keep our foot on y'all's necks because you fools, we tried to tell you a long time ago. And since you didn't listen, go to hell because we're going to keep at you. We're going to keep bringing it to you. We're going to put it in your face every chance we get because you fans, y'all are a disgrace. You're not even real boxing fans. Huh? You're hangers-ons. Huh? You those people that just like to jump in on the photo and get, photo bomb in the background and all of that stuff. Also rans. So that's too bad for y'all, and we're gonna keep drilling you and keep it in your face. So this is Stormy B Man. That's all I have for you at this time. Until we meet again, peace.
Peace.
Bomb Squad!
To this day.